Harking back through the crystallising filters of time, I can hear the words dib 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 echoing through my mind. I was a Cub Scout. I was a good boy, not a bad boy. I went on to become patrol leader of the Boy Scouts, and some friends of mine asked me to go on a camping trip with them to the Adelaide Hills, where we pitched our tent and then went for a walk. We gathered some wood and some dry grass on the way back, lit a fire and had some tea, and later went to bed. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was laying face down with my fist between my chest and the hard ground, and it was numb, and I soon noticed that the entire left side of my body, from head to foot, was numb. I yelled out to my mate, "Wake up! I'm numb on the left side. I might be paralysed. Do you think I should see a doctor?" He said, "No, don't worry about it. Just go back to sleep. You'll be all right in the morning." It was extremely difficult for me to roll over onto my back. And as I lay there and looked up, it was pitch black. Even if I wanted to go home on my own, I wouldn't know which direction to travel, and I couldn't rely on my leg. So I thought I could die tonight. I went to sleep, and I woke up the next morning and everything was fine. A few months later, bang! I felt this really hard, sharp stabbing pain in the left side of my chest. And I looked down and there was no cut, no bleeding, no nothing. A few more months went by and bang, it happened again. So I went to my doctor and asked him the cause. He examined my chest with his stethoscope and he said, "There's nothing wrong with your heart." I said, "What's the cause of the pain, Doc?" And he said, "I don't know." I thought that was a bit strange because doctors have been studying diseases for 2,000 years. It seemed a bit odd that since Hippocrates, they didn't know the cause of chest pain. A few months more went by and bang, it happened again, and bang, it happened again. So my doctor referred me to a heart specialist, and he examined me with a cardiograph, and he said, "There's nothing wrong with your heart." I said, "What's the cause of the pain, Doc?" And he said, "Get out of my clinic and don't come back. I've got little old ladies here who are really sick and there's nothing wrong with you." He put on a big act and was well-intentioned to convince me there was nothing wrong with my heart, but he couldn't explain the cause of the pain. A few more months went by and bang, it happened again, and bang, it happened again. By the time I was 20, one day I thought, I haven't had that pain for a couple of years. I wonder why it stopped. I had a new doctor at the time, and so I asked him and he said, "I don't know." A few more months went by and I had aches in my kidneys and then aches in my abdomen. A few more years went by and I started feeling faint and breathless. And I'd get exhausted just walking along the road. So I'd be going to the doctor, he'd give me x-rays and so forth, but he could never find anything and I'd ask him what was wrong. He'd just shrug his shoulders like that every time. Then I was referred to a psychologist who said the pain was all in my mind and he could scientifically prove it. Well, I happen to have been studying psychology under scholarship in a course called Group Work at the Institute of Technology, and I knew there was no scientific basis for those ideas. So I thought, I'm in a bit of trouble here. I'm going to have to study medicine, but how can I do that? Doctors have studied medicine for 6 years to become qualified. And I get pain 10 minutes after sitting at a desk, and it gets worse throughout the day. But I thought doctors have to study 1,000 diseases. I only have to study one, whatever mine is. And so I did. I read medical dictionary and I had 1 word a day, till I came to the Costa syndrome. And the symptom was the same as mine. Chest pains, breathing problems, breathlessness, faintness, fatigue, and abdominal pain, and so forth. I thought, why wasn't I told? I was angry. So I decided to keep studying. A couple of years later, I worked out that the real cause of the pains was leaning towards the desk, which was compressing my chest, abdomen, and my lungs to cause chest pains, abdominal pains, and breathing problems. I called that the posture theory. A few more years went by, and I keep getting these recurrences of very severe bouts of pain. So my doctor referred me to an abdominal surgeon. And I said to him, I want you to cut me open up my skin, have a look at everything inside my abdomen and find the cause of this pain. He said, well, I don't want to. I said, why not? He said, we studied millions of people under surgery around the world, and we never find anything. So I said, I insist. I want you to have a look. And he cut me open, about a 10 centimetre scar in my belly when I woke up, and covered by a bandage, of course. And I said, what'd you find, Doc? And he said, nothing. So a few more years went by, and I was experimenting on a lot of things. Diet, various factors in the environment. What could be the cause of this? And I was adding platforms to my desk and angled books and all sorts of things on top of my desk. And then I learned to type in the computer. And one day I added another platform to the top of my desk, and I was standing by then instead of sitting. Typing for 2 hours, and I suddenly realised I'm not in pain. I thought, I'm going to be rich. This desk is going to change the world. This can prevent the pain in me and 300 million other patients. So I published it under copyright, all rights reserved, to secure my rights. And then I went to the newspapers, and they said this: we can't publish anything controversial like that. And I said, why not? And they said, because if the universities don't agree with it or approve of it, they'll stop sending us science stories and we'll be out of a job. So I went to the universities, and they said this: you can't get sick sitting in a chair, and you can't cure diseases with a desk. The cure is psychotherapy, they said. So I went off to furniture companies, and I said to this: look, mate, I can make you a rich man if you make a desk to my design. And he said, it costs a lot of money to tool up to make a new type of desk. And nobody ever asked for standing desks, so he'll go broke. He won't get his money back. Try down the road. So I went to another furniture company, and he said, look, mate, we had a standing desk on display in our showroom for 2 years, a while back. Nobody was interested in it. So he put it out the back where it was collecting dust. He said next week he's going to put it out in the street for the garbage trucks to take away. He said, try another company. I went to every furniture company in Adelaide that I could find, and none of them were interested. A few more years went by, and I had 30 essays published in the online version of the British Medical Journal. And I found the exact cause of the chest pain and the exact cause of abdominal pain. The chest pain is caused by postural pressure on the 7th rib, which pushes down behind the 8th rib and pinches a nerve. Oh, causes the pain. So I then wrote a letter to the editor of the local newspaper called the Messenger Leader. And I said, this is going to save governments $350 billion a year, every year for the next 2,000 years in diagnostic costs and treatment costs. And they published it in 3 of their local newspapers. I then went to the major newspapers and major TV programs, and there was this stone wall of silence. None of them were interested. And they'd say, don't call us, we'll call you. And they never did. And then I started reading things like this in newspapers. 4 teams of international experts have discovered that sitting is a health hazard. Well, that's my theory. And then they said, experts have issued guidelines on how long to sit, stand and move throughout the day and use standing desks to improve the health of office workers. And then there were stock market reports, and they said this: the standing desk industry, the manufacturing industry, has gone from virtually nothing in 2013 to $6 billion a year by 2019. So cash in on it quick while it's booming. And thousands of furniture companies went out and took out patents in 2 weeks and said, we invented the standing desk because we care about the health and happiness of office workers. I thought, I'm going to have to do something about this. So I decided to join a public speakers group and deliver these talks to the public, tell them myself what's really been going on behind the scenes. So, what can I do now? Well, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But the decision I made 45 years ago to try and solve my own health problems when nobody else could was a good decision. I didn't want to wait another 2,000 years for someone to solve the problem. So I leave it up to you to think about what you can do about that situation. And thank you for watching.